Separate the metal from the plastic. Just like that right there, and there's gonna be perfect space on both. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be back to work on our 1966 Ford Mustang GT. If you guys seen the previous video, we did get all these plates made, and we also mounted the fenders. And a lot of you guys were wondering how do we change the spark plugs. Well, the spark plugs are actually on the top of the engine and not on the side like most cars do have it. So we have a perfect access to that. We also have the dipstick access right here, so all that lined up pretty good. And also, some people were wondering about this right here. We are gonna cut the same thing on that side. We just didn't have enough time. We really wanted to get that video out for you guys. So that's basically it in the engine bay. We're not gonna be working on any of the other stuff up here. We're actually gonna focus on the back. So what I wanna focus on today's video is actually getting the rear firewall done inside. We're gonna have to get some metal plates. We already have some, we went and picked it up. And we're basically gonna plate all this off and just start working our way back and probably start working on the floor because we wanna see how we're gonna put our pedals in here. And then we're gonna grab our dashboard and try to cut it and see how we can fit it in here. Because the steering arm, a lot of people were talking about the steering for the steering rack, so we're gonna have to work on that and see how we can get the shaft in there. So let's go ahead and get to work. So the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and remove these fenders because we do need to get this cowl off so we can start cutting the metal and fitting it up in there. So let's go ahead and get everything off. So now that we have all these pieces off, we get a general idea of how we're gonna build this firewall. And we're basically gonna go right along this tube, exactly like that, and then it's gonna connect to this main body panel. And we're also gonna put the master brake cylinder back here somewhere if we can fit it, but we will have to see in a minute. So let's go ahead and grab some cardboard. We're gonna start cutting out, marking it up, because we will have to cut it around this engine or the transmission bell housing. So let's go ahead and grab some cardboard and start doing some design. So we got the firewall plate installed. We haven't welded anything yet because we might have to move it around a little bit. We did have to trim it a little bit right here. Everything is lining up. Then we're gonna weld it all up right there and then weld it up there. So it's gonna really give the car a nice rigid and strength. Now what we need to do is start working on the actual transmission tunnel. We're gonna have to build something that goes along here just like that. So let's get started. So we basically have the transmission tunnel almost there. We will still have to do a little bit of modification on it, and we did cut it in half, and we kind of shortened it in, and all we're gonna have to do now is just cut through both of them and then just tack weld it back together, and it's gonna be a nice transmission tunnel. And before you guys say, oh, you should have bought one, well, it's more fun building it. Now that that's done, we're gonna have to actually build some more frame rails on the floor area right here, and what we're gonna have to do is add 2 more frame rails coming in the center right here that are gonna come off here, and it's just gonna make the frame a lot stronger. We don't want this thing twisting or flopping, so let's go ahead and get started. So the way I'm gonna be doing this is basically cutting 2 10-inch frame rails, and they're gonna be placed exactly right here, and then we have this bar right here that's bent 180 degrees, and that's gonna conjoin both of those, and it's gonna hold this whole area together. So let's go ahead and get to cutting. So we got everything nice and lined up, and now what we're gonna do is go ahead and grab the welder and start welding everything together. So we got mostly everything welded up, but we did end up running out of welding gas, and it is pretty late right now, so we can't go and get some. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and move on to start building the floor. We have some sheet metal, so let's go ahead and start measuring everything out and get some sheets cut out. So we got that sheet cut out, and I'm thinking we might go with aluminum because right now as the car sits, it probably weighs around 2,500 pounds because the engine weighs 600 pounds with the transmission and all that. And then we probably have like 600 or 700 pounds worth of metal already on the car, and then this Mustang body weighs around 600 pounds. So we're right around probably 2,500 pounds with all the other stuff like the wheels and the suspension and the other stuff back there. So we're probably around 2,500 pounds, and we kind of want to start conserving weight right now. And we kind of probably need to do some aluminum in here just to keep it a little bit lighter weight. But now what I'm going to do is go ahead, and we have a test fit seat. So let's go ahead and put that thing in. So we got this test fit seat in, and as you can see, we still have a bunch of headroom. The roof is probably like around here. I actually measured it. A GTR is around 37 inches from floor to top, and this car is around like 34, I think. So we lost around 2 inches, but that's okay. And I think we will have good clearance in here for the pedals, because the pedals are around 18 inches wide, or the stock floor on a Mustang is around 18 inches wide in there. So I think the pedals will all fit pretty good in there. And now what we got to do is kind of try to test fit the dashboard in here, because I'm not sure it's going to fit because I am kind of sitting a little higher. So I might think about building a custom dashboard. That'd be pretty cool to do, like some kind of Alcantara design on here. But now let's go ahead and disassemble that dashboard and try to get it in here. So here's the original dashboard from the red Mustang. What we're gonna do right now is go ahead and just separate the metal from the plastic. I think it's almost there. All we need to do is unscrew a couple more bolts. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have everything off this dashboard, and this dashboard is actually bad. It's broken in a couple of spots, but we're gonna do some test fitting on it, do some test cutting, see how we're gonna trim it up a little bit, because I wanna keep the proportions of the dashboard. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do is actually cut it down the center and kind of narrow everything down, because I think we only have to do a couple of inches. But right now, let's just do a little test fit. Just as I thought. No space at all for it. So we have the dashboard in here, and as you can see, there's about 2 inches that we need to make some room for. So what we're gonna do is actually cut it right here down the center and squeeze everything together, because the screen is about this big, and I think if we trim it and then squeeze everything together, we'll keep all the proportions of the dashboard, but we'll just narrow it, because I've seen people cut it like right here and it just looks horrible. So what we're gonna do is cut it in the center real quick and see if we can stretch it in a little bit. So we went ahead and got the steering wheel off of there too, and it seems like it's lining up pretty good. If it's going to be just like that, there's going to be a lot of space for your feet and everything. But I think we might also drop the seat down a couple of inches. I do have a solution for that. We might just drop it down just a couple of inches, and then that'll give us the perfect clearance for this car. It's going to be just like that right there, and there's going to be perfect space on both sides. and that's not gonna be an issue. So I went ahead and took off this piece of sheet metal right here, and I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna lower the seat down. We're actually gonna cut this frame rail right here, probably in the center, so that's gonna give us 2 more inches and kind of sink the seat down 2 more inches, and that will probably give us enough clearance for the driver and the steering wheel, and we'll probably lift the dashboard up, so that's gonna give us all the right amount of clearance we need there. And then once we cut this in half, we're also just gonna slide another piece of sheet metal on top and weld everything up real nice, and then we're gonna put the floor just a little bit lower, and I think we'll do it on both sides just so we have enough headroom, so if you're a little taller person you can drive inside the car. But that's gonna be it for tonight. We got a lot of work done on this car. We got the firewall in, we got the transmission tunnel basically mocked up, and it's coming along really good. But that's gonna be it for tonight. So it's the next day here at the garage. It is kind of a mess, but that's because we were working really late last night. And we got a lot of work done on the car. We got the firewall built. We got some of the floor built. We still probably are going to be doing some remanufacturing on how the floor works out. But let's go ahead and see what we're going to be working on today. What I really want to do is get the pedals installed. We're about to go take them off the red parts car. And then if we have our dashboard, I was thinking about lowering the seat, but I think if we put the dashboard just like that and we trim it up, we'll have perfect clearance right here for the steering wheel and everything. So we probably won't lower the seat down because that will just lose a little bit of structural integrity on the frame rail. But let's go ahead and grab the pedals off the red car and see how they line up. So let's go ahead and get this parts off the parts car. But I was just thinking, guys, what if we build another garage right here? As you can see, there's a lot of cars on this property, and this is my dad's garage, but I think it's about time to build my own garage. And we're planning on probably putting it somewhere right here on this lot. We'll clean up some of these junk cars. We got a bunch of them, but just a little suggestion. What do you guys think? Should we build a garage here or should we move to somewhere else? We also have a smart car. Many of you guys don't know, I haven't really talked about this car in any of the videos because I haven't showed it off yet, but I was just sitting there bored and I scooped this thing up for like $300. What do you think we should do with it? We could just do something cool with it or just scrap it. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and grab everything off this car that we need. So what I'm gonna take off right now is the pedals, the gas pedal and the clutch and the brakes, and we'll also take this master cylinder because we need to figure out how we're gonna put it on that car, if we even can, if we have any room, or we'll have to get a special one. So let's go ahead and get all this stuff off. So we got the brake booster off and the gas pedals and the brake and clutch. Now let's go ahead and try to mock it up to here and see how everything lines up. So we went ahead and just moved the firewall away from where it's supposed to be. And I'm thinking we're gonna put this brake booster somehow just inside, just like that right there. And that's gonna give us perfect clearance for the wheel and perfect clearance for everything. We might have to move the firewall just a bit forward, but I think that might work right there. So let's go ahead and grab some clamps and start mocking everything up. So we have the brake booster right here, and we are having some clearance issues. We were kind of just mocking it up, and it is hitting this bar right here. So what I'm thinking we will have to do is start cutting and trimming some of that, which we'll probably save for the next episode because we did get a lot of work done today. Or in this episode, we got the floor made. We still have to go to the steel store, get some more aluminum, and then we'll be able to build all that up. And we also have to get some roll cage tubing because we're going to start building the roll cage. But I want to slowly start piecing this car together because it is coming together slowly but surely. And this kind of sucks that we are having some clearance issues. I might even try to find a smaller brake booster. Maybe we can find it off in a different car or something like that, and then we won't really have to cut it. But if worst comes to worst, we'll have to just trim up this bar right here and kind of just rebuild it and probably just go along just like that. And I think if we cut that off, we'll have perfect clearance for that. We can go ahead and start designing the roll cage, which is going to be going off the metal dashboard or the metal bar that's going to go in the center right here. We're going to start building the roll cage all the way up, and that's why we're really not welding any of this body panels together, because the cool thing is we can just take it off and then just weld something up, and if we have to, we can just take it right back off. So now what we're going to have to do is start redesigning it. We're probably going to go home. I am getting started on some 3D modeling programs like Google SketchUp and other cool stuff, so we're going to start redesigning it. And a lot of you guys were telling me about the problem we might have here, and that is just what it is. And I love that all you guys are commenting because it really helps out with the build. And as you guys know, this is the first thing I've never done a custom build like this before, but I've always wanted to for the past like 10 years. I've always thought about building my own car. And a little background, I started working at this shop when I was like 12 years old or 13, dropped out of high school and just came straight working here and didn't go to school for any of this stuff. So even though we're running into a bunch of issues on this car, the cool thing is you can't learn to do something if you don't attempt it. And a lot of people are asking like, is there a manual for this? No, this is just all off the top of my head from the beginning to the end. Well, not the end yet, but everything here is just off the top of my head. I did look at some cars, but this is completely different from most cars. A lot of people were saying don't drill holes in the frame rail. I went ahead and did that because I just love to be different and try my own way. And if my own way fails, we'll try a different way. And the best thing I can tell you is if you don't want to buy it, just build it. So that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. In the next video, we definitely will get everything mounted up. We'll get the pedals on, we'll get the gas pedal on, and then we'll probably start building the roll cage and then start finishing up the floor. And we are also gonna have to buy a fuel cell for the back because there's no room for the factory fuel tank. I was planning on using it, but as you can see, there's really no space in here at all. So we're probably gonna get a fuel cell and put it in the back. So go ahead and comment some suggestions down below. What's a good fuel cell? What's good at that? But that's gonna be it. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, drop a like, follow me on Instagram at vTuned, and head over to vTuned.com if you want to copy some cool merch.